Welcome to free TRISHOOL training sessions. Today we're going to discuss about JavaScript functions, different ways of JavaScript functions, and also scope of the object, scope of the variable. So there are a number of blogs, of course, written already about the different ways of functions. These are all the ways we define the function. We declare the function and we call it, and we write it as an expression, and we put it in parentheses. So we do all these different stuff when we're working. Oh, my bad. Now hope you can see. Can you see now? Okay, excellent. These are the different ways of the functions. First is declaration, and we call. Let's see with the examples. Let's try how it works really. Maybe I know few these three functions, but I am not sure about the other way of declarations. So let's try all the ways like why we use, and basically what we get from the output, something like that. So let's try with an example. Here is the dumb manipulation 1.html, which I'm taking the same file, or maybe I'll take some new file. I have not uploaded the files, I guess. My bad. I was quite busy. I'm really sorry. Today I'll try to upload after the session. I'll upload those two sessions. JavaScript functions. That's HTML. So I'm just copying the whole thing and paste. So I'm removing this thing. Now, first we will discuss about first way, a generic way where we always do this stuff, like been doing this ages. So function A, open, close. So basically, first of all, what is function? So function is basically a set of statements. Like now we are combining a number of statements. We are writing multiple number of statements in a block, and we are calling that block whenever we want. And we also control that block using sending the variables. Hey, do this. I'm sending you these two variables. Play with these two variables and run the block. Something like that. We call that as a parameter. We call them as a parameter, which goes inside this parenthesis. Comma B, comma C, comma whatever are the parameters. We call these as a parameters, and we call this as a function. So a function is nothing but a set of statements where we can call as per our requirement, like flexible. Like basically if you want to call it whenever we want, we can simply call it. You can also do a dynamic function, which means using parameters. Like if you can send the parameters, and it will run those parameters. If you use inside those statements, you can literally get an output based on the parameters you send through the function name. So which we are going to do the example right now. So let's say this is a function name, right? I have a paragraph id is equal to my p. I'm just giving some id. So inside the function, all I'm doing is document.get element by id of my IP dot inner HTML equal to, I'm putting some content in it, I love my country. So what happens when I do this? Nothing will happen. Let's check. Go here. This is my JavaScript function. Right click, open with Google Chrome. As you can see, nothing happened. Actually, I have not written the console.log, so I'm not looking in the console. I have to see the output here itself. Nothing happened because I have declared the function. This is called declaration. So once you it won't work once you declare. It will work only after you call. You need to call this function, then only that function will run. Otherwise, it won't run. Which means I need to call this like this. Save it. Now if you go and refresh, still nothing happens. If you go and console, you will see an error saying that get element by ID is not a function. Because get element by ID is not a function. It just need to be very careful with the caps and small. Now save it, come here, refresh the page and check now. See, we cannot set the inner HTML property. That is because only one reason, inner HTML of null. That is because of only one reason, I'm not able to capture the paragraph because this function is not loading. This function is loading before this structure itself, right? Which means, let's say my compiler runs from starting top to bottom, right? Blah, 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 blah. So while it's running, first it will check for function A, and after that, oh, document.getElement by ID. It won't run this statement anyway. It will run this statement. So which means A. Again, I am calling here A function. Okay, go. Document.getElement by M by P. But the DOM structure has not yet loaded and it is looking for M by P. So which is not available. So that's the reason when you say document.getElement by ID, it is a null value. Null.innerHTML is nothing. It won't work. So that's the reason we have a onload function. So whatever you write JavaScript, you always write in onload function. That's the reason. So far we have not used functions or anything. We have not used document.getElement by ID either. Of course, we have used this, but here you can see I'm calling it this function, not here in the script. I'm calling it in the function, calling in inner HTML, right? Inline HTML. So when I do that, which means by the time this function calls, all the DOM structure has been loaded already. But if I call the same function, click me function, here in this, it won't work. If I call this change continue function here, it won't work because this DOM structure has not yet loaded. So for any JavaScript file, you always need to write onload. Even for jQuery also, there is a document .onReady function. So whatever you write code, you will definitely write on onReady function, and then inside onReady function you will write. Otherwise, it won't work at all. So now, as per our knowledge, what we need to do, we need to write an onload function, which means, hey, dude, onload is equal to run my script. Simple. Now, when I say run my script, I need to say something like this. Function, run my script, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, here at the bottom. Which means whatever the functions I write, I have to write inside run my script only. Whatever the JavaScript I write, I have to write inside run my script only, otherwise it won't work at all. Okay. So when you are writing even an external, when you are even writing an external JavaScript file, there also you need to write this function run my script and write all the functions inside in it. Now you might wonder, can I call A in inline? Can I access that? Let's try. I'll say on click is equal to what you're trying to do. You're calling A function, right? Go here, check here, refresh here. Of course, now the thing is working fine. If you see here, I've given on click statement to this one itself. When I click it, A is not defined, which means it is not able to recognize the function, this function, because it is inside another function. So this A is no more available for this on click. If you see here in DOM manipulation 1, here I'm able to call this change function and I'm able to access this because this is directly function. It is not inside another function. So that is called, that's basically we can say scope, out of scope. A is out of scope for the direct calling. So you need to access through run my script only, whatever you want to do. So for that, let's say if I want to give a click event to the paragraph, what should I do? You cannot write the inline statement. You need to write a add event listeners that we will discuss in very soon. But before we will complete with the functions. Now we have a hosting. What if we write the JavaScript in the footer? Yes, it will work, Sarita. If you write this JavaScript in the footer, it will definitely work. You don't need to write run my script. You don't need to write onload function also. But most people don't prefer writing JavaScript at the footer. We will use at the footer JavaScript only. Let's say I have a 15 JavaScript files. So if there is any dependency files that JavaScript needed at the top, then we will put them, and the remaining 5 to 6 files, whatever the 5 to 6 JavaScript files, will put at the bottom, because these files might need only after the entire page is loaded, so that we are saving some time of loading these JavaScript files. So we will try to put the JavaScript files at the bottom only for the huge projects, like it has a more number of JavaScript files, or it has the individual page JavaScript. But to avoid any conflicts, I want that in only specific page. I don't want that any other pages. So maybe it depends. Whenever you need it, you will use it. But most people use JavaScript at the footer because to avoid, to make the compiler, to avoid delay of the compiler. Like let's say the compiler starts from the top to bottom, so it will skip. If you don't have a JavaScript files, it will load immediately. At the bottom, of course, JavaScripts will be there. They will be loading slowly. So they will be loading slowly when we after the all our scripts loaded. So in that way, user can see the screen immediately instead of until the JavaScript files loaded. So that's the reason we put at the footer. But yes, if you put this JavaScript file without run my script, it will definitely work. Please try, test it. You will get to know. So this is mandatory. So you might be thinking this is annoying. Like, what the heck? I am writing hundreds of lines of JavaScript. Do I have to put everything inside the function run my script? Yes, you have to. And there are other ways also. You can write an external JavaScript and call that JavaScript, once after the loading, uh, write a simple JavaScript, run these files only after the load, after the DOM structure loaded. But anyway, we'll get to know that in upcoming sessions. First of all, let's talk about the hosting. I want to introduce you a new concept called hosting, which is it's a JavaScript feature. Basically, based on my knowledge, I'm not sure whether it is in Java and PHP, but yeah, I think it is there everywhere. So hosting is basically nothing but right now the function is here, and the function is here, right? This is perfect. Compiler runs, okay, compiler runs this line and runs this line and keep it. Whenever you whenever you run this file, and it will run because this is available for me. Yeah, what if I cut this and paste it here? Now what happens? Compiler run this, but function is not loaded, right? But how can you are calling it even before function is declared? So actually, the thing is, it's reverse. First, it will look for a declaration, and then it will call the function. First, it will look for the uh, declaration and call the function. Call the function declaration. So even if I say cut it and put it here, what this actually compiler doing? Compiler is moving this to the top, run first this statement and then run next this statements. Basically, we call that as a hoisting. So defining a variable, it's basically like defining a variable and then use that variable. So that is called hoisting functions. So compiler knows what it wants. So basically, it will hoist the function calling and then go for a function declaration. Sorry, function definition. We call this is a function definition and this is a declaration. Anyway, so you're calling this. Yeah, there is no difference between this and this. There is no difference. Even if you have this, let's say if you have this also, the compiler do this automatically, keep it on the top, and then after this then run that. Okay, so now you know what is onload function. Onload function is the most important thing. What does this onload function do? Onload function will load the whole DOM structure first. What is DOM structure? All the HTML elements. Okay, first it will load all the HTML elements and then it will load content. It will start loading content. So here I'm saying onload is equal to run my script, which means immediately or the minute the DOM structure loaded, the function, the JavaScript is ready to run. So in that way, there will be no way of missing the content. Like hey, content, all the structure is available. Do whatever you want to do with it. Simple. So from now onwards, whenever you write JavaScript inside script, first you write onload function, and inside that function, whatever you want to write, you can write like this. So with this method, you are no longer writing any inline JavaScript saying that, hey, I'll write on click to this directly. There is no way you can write. So you cannot, you're not going to use that inline JavaScript at all. I'll tell you how to add a click event or mouse over event or mouse event, keyboard event, or whatever the event you want. I'll tell you how to add event to the element. We have a add event listener, remove event listener, two functions. We can use these two functions to add uh, mouse events or keyboard events and remove those events anytime whenever you want. So you have a full control over it. It's not like inline JavaScript where you write on click, it will work for only on click, blah blah blah. But if you use add event listener, you have a full control over it. You can say even after 10 minutes I want to remove this event. After 5 minutes I want to add this event again. So for gaming, it will be really quite comfort, and also it's not only gaming, for every you know every interaction that you built in JavaScript will be using this add event listeners. So I will use it. I will use them very soon. But even before that, we need to understand the functions, various ways of functions. First of all, here I have a variable, right? I'm sending two parameters. One is 2, 5. So this function also, when I need to send values through here as a parameters, and I need to capture and store them in a certain variables. So that's the reason I'm saying g comma h. G is one variable, H comma H is one variable. You need to make sure when you're calling with two parameters, you are also running with two parameters. That you need to make sure. So because you're sending two parameters, there also it's supposed to receive only two parameters, not even less, not even more. Okay. Now 2 comma 5. Now I have 2 comma 5. Now I say I have whatever the my inner HTML has got I love my country, and I can say here I can say here plus G. See, I'm concatenating the text. This is a string plus variable plus I'll say 3 and 1. 3 colors plus H plus concatenating H. Oh, H is already 3 colors, 1 chakra. Okay. Now what happens here? I love my country plus 3 colors plus 1 chakra. If you see here, there is no space between them. If I refresh the page, as you can see, there is 3 colors, 1 chakra is coming here. But unfortunately, there is no space between them. That is because we never provided any space even after the country. And now I'm providing on space after the country, after the colors, and before colors, because after text also you want, right? And before chakra. Now save it and check here, refresh the page, allow my country, 3 colors, 1 chakra. Okay. So now this is called concatenation, and this is how you are sending parameters and using those parameters inside those functions. Okay, this is one way of declaration and using the function. So in real-time scenario, how you use it, that might be your question, right? Here we have already used it, right? Saying by on click is equal to change count and do something, whatever we want to do. So you can add event listeners and write a function server, whatever you want, and write the functionality. But here, if I want to add a click event to the specific thing, let's say I have I have an ID saying that, come on, CLCK, CLKC, CLC, something like that. Yeah. So if I want to write a click event to this A, when I say click me, refresh here. So here click me is there. If I need to write a click event to that, where is A? href is equal to blah 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 hash. I'm giving an empty link, refresh. Now if I click, nothing happens because I have not given any click event. If I want to give a click event, I cannot write inline statement saying that, hey, on click do this. No, you cannot call the function also. Actually, you can write on click function, but you need to write the function outside of this load function. But that's not the way we write JavaScript, right? We are not going to write any more inline JavaScript. So now we will be depending on add event listeners. So that we will discuss in very soon. First, let us complete this various ways of JavaScript functions. So this is one which we discussed so far, like, we understand the function, how to call the function, and even this is also the declaration function. Which one? This one, right? Not only this one also just a normal declaration and calling it in my body load. So how do we write generally? You can say in JavaScript, we can say window dot load is equal to run my script. So even you don't need to write to the onload, because I'm saying that once the window load, run this script. Check the, if I want to know the window function properly, go to object reference JavaScript. Here is W3 schools, this one. Here all, I think yesterday I provided in the TRISHOOL training. So this is how I should get help actually. Which one? This one, right? I need an object reference. Go here, click here, and what I'm looking for, I want to say on window load. Here is there, or DOM load, whatever. Like let's say first let me click on window and look for the function. What functions we have here? Self, screen, X, navigator, location, source, launch, closed. Okay. Let's go for instead of window, DOM document. So which means I have to find out document dot ready state. This is one. Returns the loading status of the document. So it will let us know what is the status of the DOM, which means whether how much it is loaded, whether it is loading, still loading, or whether it is completed or not. So what I can write, say, hey, if the DOM document.readyState is equal to complete, then do our stuff, whatever we want to do. So anyway, first of all, check for onload function. It is not here, so go here, window. Here only we need to find out in Windows. Object properties. Returns the document object of the window, local storage, name, navigator. Go here, window load JavaScript, window.load versus document.load. This is a difference between window.load and document.load. So window.load means it will load entire HTML, entire content also. Document.load is basically it will load only the HTML structure. Here I have written onload function. I'll tell you about this function a little later. I'll use only onload. Here onload, I have written onload function to the body, which means this will run after the DOM structure load, which means only HTML tags, all the HTML tags in the HTML file. But if I write window.load, again, if I write this, it has to wait until not only HTML structure, but also the whole content, which is not required. Because what happens when we do this DOM structure, because we need only DOM structure HTML elements, because we'll be loading some data and storing it in our HTML elements also. So we need only DOM structures to be loaded. So that's the reason we use a body, we use onload to the body only, not for window.load. So we don't use much window.load because it will slow our process, and sometimes it might not even work. I mean, it will work, of course, but it will take time to load everything. You might thinking in a fraction of seconds the website is loading. What time you're thinking about it? But when it comes to website, if it is a loading, it needs to load as fast as it can. That's where performance comes into picture. So you need to make sure that it runs as fast as it can. It opens as fast as it can, because in slow internet connections it is really difficult to load them. So we need to make sure, try to give all the try to minimize all the work that is given to the uh, website when it first opens. So that's what we are doing. We're saying on load, we are loading only DOM structure. After the DOM structure loading, then call this function. And meanwhile, the things will be keep on loading. It's not like the remaining thing will load after loading the function. No, this function will load. This is like we're just telling that, hey, run this function immediately after the DOM structure is loaded. How our website is load? Our website load like this. First it will load entire HTML elements. After that it will start adding content to the HTML elements. That's how it is load. So in this process we are saying that, hey, once the DOM structure is ready, then run my JavaScript also. So continuously the text is keep on running, and the JavaScript also started running once the DOM structure is loaded. Okay. So that's what the onload function. And next, function expression. Interesting. This is called a function expression. So what happens when I call where b is equal to function? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's stop using console.log. I'll start using my JavaScript thing. All I'm going to do is document my paragraph 1. Copy. I'll say, what a beautiful life. Right, since I don't have any parameters, I'm just removing all the other stuff. Saying here, like this. Now, go here and refresh, see what happens in my page. Nothing happened. So here, this is just an expression that we are giving, and we need to use this expression whenever we want. Document.getElement by ID. So this is generic function, regular function we use. But this is an expression. So this expression is stored in as a variable. But usually what happens when you declare a variable where b is equal to, this will become, I'll talk about the global and scope in a moment bit. I don't think today I can do that, but I'll try. So if you know the scope, it will be much better. Scope. Okay, fine, no issues. So now let's see. So this is just an expression. Let's say if I call something like this, see what happens. Cannot set property in the HTML of null, which means what's happening here? Oh, because there is no ID, right? We have not created the ID. That's the reason it was not displaying. So now what a beautiful life. So what happens is it's almost similar to the generic function, like, but we are declaring it in a variable. So it's basically like instead of calling function, it's you're calling a variable. So using variable, you're calling. So this is like an expression. Both are same. So you're writing in a different way. So we are defining where b is equal to a function and calling it whenever you want. So this is an expression way of writing JavaScript. You can call you can call it from here, but remember, whatever you do, it will hoist automatically and run. So I'll talk about the hoisting a separate session because it's a concept where you need to understand how the JavaScript compiler runs basically. If you don't declare variable, if you directly write, let's say, instead of saying this, b is equal to function. See, still it is working fine. As I said, b is equal to directly written, right? But this will automatically hoisted at the top of the page, at the top of this function. First, it will declare automatically itself, where b, and then it will run. Though we have not written this, it will write itself and then run it and then use this function. So that's called hoisting. This I think I've given a wrong impression by moving this to top and saying hoisting. That is not hoisting. That is a function calling. You can call it wherever you want in the document. It's similar to hoisting concept, but it's not hoisting concept. Hoisting is hoisting spelling is Hoisting. 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 Okay. So what happens since basically if you see any programming languages, first they'll declare where it's a string type is equal to blah blah blah. You don't need to declare anything in JavaScript. That's a kind of a, people say unsecure, but I say, for lazy people like me, it's good. So uh, we have a b without variable. No, so without var, I've just directly declared b is equal to function, write my expression, everything inside in it, and I'm calling it. The moment you call it, it will automatically here first it will say, hey, where b, it will say automatically, and then run the function expression. That is called hoisting concept. Nothing else. That's it. That's a hoisting concept. But I'll talk separately when you are talking about uh, the scope of the variables inside function, outside function, and everything. Okay. Now this is the second way of writing a function. This is function expression with the grouping parameters. This is very interesting. So actually, thing is what it is doing is this is different. What it is doing is once you put everything inside parentheses, which means whatever the end result you have in this function, you are storing it in a C. Okay, so which means if I write something inside, let's say what I'm saying, where say, so whatever I input here, output here, like let's say, well, it's not like document dot ready, it's like we don't have an echo here. Whatever the end result we put here, we'll store it in C and we can use that result value wherever we want. Think I need to come up with a proper example, not this one for this functions. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll continue these. three various types in the next session. This remaining various function declaration in the next session. So far the important concepts are that we discussed is one is hoisting. Uh, of course, we discussed very little, but we are going to discuss more in when you're talking about the scope and onload function, which is very important. You need to know what is body.onload, window.onload. There is a difference between them. Uh, Body.onload means it will load, it will wait until the DOM structure loads, which means it will run even before the content loads. But after DOM structure loads, what is DOM structure here? All HTML elements. But when it comes to window.load, it has to load the entire web page and then run the script. So we cannot wait until the entire web page load and then run my script. It's not possible. So it's not doable. It's not recommended. So we use always document dot body dot onload. We write onload function to the body. Okay, that's a important thing. And yeah, for the remaining definition function ways, writing function ways, I'll come up with good examples tomorrow. Mm, so you will understand it much better. Tomorrow I'm closing this function and also scope of the variable, so that from day after tomorrow we can start working with JavaScript basically. Uh, you know, not sure whether I can use in my project much, but we will definitely use it. Let's say we'll start with form validation since we know basics of the JavaScript. So tomorrow is basically complete these two other definitions, other type of functions, and also this scope. And from day after tomorrow we will start working with the JavaScript directly. Okay. Hope you understand today's session. If there is any confusion, please do let me know. You need to understand these functions methods properly, way of writing. Any questions so far? I think Chikri, you have a question, I guess. Yesterday you asked. We can solve it now. Here it says that people also see what's your question, and they'll also learn from it if you're okay with it. Can you making your representer presenter, and can you show me your problem? Just make sure you don't have anything up. Make presenter. Yes. So I made you as a presenter. Now you can share your screen and on your microphone and then talk. Yeah.
Yeah, one moment later.
Yeah.
Just take me.
Okay. If anyone wants to stay, you can stay actually. He has a question in JavaScript. Just will help him and you can.
Lila, ఇది Skype లో మీకు పర్సనల్ పింగ్ తీసినారు సార్
Oh, okay,
this
fine. It's only HTML. You want to do it over there. No issues. Fine.
yeah. So that block is there, right? That image block is there, no? That how you get it, right? CSS లో చేస్తాను ఐడియా ఉంది కానీ బట్ ఐఎమ్ నాట్ గెటింగ్ దాట్.
One second. Let me share my screen to everyone so that. Hope everyone can see my screen now. Okay. Now you are seeing, right?
ఇప్పుడు దీని
Quick.
ఎస్ ఎస్ యా.
Tell me
సో
what.
ఇన్ దిస్ వీ హ్యావ్
Gone?
యా. ఇప్పుడు కింద కింద చిన్న బ్లాక్స్ అండ్ ఇమేజెస్ ఉన్నాయి చూసారా, స్క్వేర్ బ్లాక్స్ అండ్ ఆల్. సో అలా స్క్వేర్ బాక్స్ ఎలా వస్తుందండి? ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ PS4 ఉంది కదా కింద, ఆ ఇమేజ్ ఎలా వస్తుంది?
There are two things here: dynamic and static.
యా.
Static in the sense you can fix saying that, hey, left side that square box with a specific height and specific width, because these are static, which means they have fixed the width of the images. So here ikkada chala simple. The images they will provide images, all the images whatever you want, and all you need to do is division. So here these all things you can do up to here, and here this whole
యా.
you will take as a single content. In that you are going to
ఓకే.
provide two parts. One is the left and the right. In the left you take two divs. In the right again you take one, two, three divs. In the first div you separate two. In the second div you separate three. In the third div you separate two. This is the one way of a static, which means you are fixing it. Okay,
ఓకే.
this is one way. What if I want Xbox 360? Sometimes what happens, this one should be here and this one should be here, and we don't know how the status, like when however we want, there is no dependency. Then all you need to do is we just need to write a float left and just dump it over there. Based on its width, it will fit automatically. But you need to make sure that you are using it, you are using the div properly. Like, otherwise you will get spaces like, uh, let's say you create a div 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the 9 divs, and put it there and give float left to the 9 divs with a proper width and whatever the height you want. What happens is all the content aligned to the float left. So based on its space available, so it will fit automatically in this area. So that not that might be a little flexible, but we are not sure how the output is going to be. But if you want a specific output, you need to go static. The first method which I said, take the whole content as a div, single div. In that div, take two divs. One is this one left div, and this whole content is in a right div. And in the left, you say one div at the top, and second div on the bottom. And in the right, you take 1, 2, 3 divs. In each div, again, you will write two more divs. Here, two more divs, float left. Here, three more divs, give float left to each, and two more divs, float left to each. And width and height should be, you have to declare properly whatever it is. That's quite simple. It's just unlike other blocks divided in other pages, right? You have already created. It's the same. It's like, not unlike. It's a similar. So is that answered your question?
Yeah. So the thing is, for example, like PS4 ఉంది చూసారా, so in that if you try to give padding and background color everything, and image is not coming within that uh, the padding or the
Ah,
entire block,
yeah, I understand.
అది ఎలా వస్తుంది?
Give margin 10 pixels for each div. Automatically, it will take and you will. So for all divs, give same margin, which is 10 pixels. So
Okay.
they'll fit in automatically. Simple, very straightforward. Here
Okay.
you might get a little gap here in the right side. It might not align properly to this thing, but you need to make sure that you give margin 10 pixels to this guy also, so that this will fit. Both these guys will fit. Simple.
Okay.
Why don't you start working with it and send me the HTML code. I'll help you to fix it in the live so that in that way you will understand it much better. Okay, that's great.
I'll do it.
So anyone have any more questions? Stop.